Hi there, welcome to Wassell Woodworking. On this episode we're going to build a table saw sled, which is great for making 90-degree cuts as well as 45-degree cuts for picture frames and boxes. This part of the jig can come out and you can cut panels as wide as a little over 20 inches with this jig, and it has a stop in here for cutting smaller pieces. So join me and I hope you enjoy the episode. So at this point, we have the two boards that will be, we can call the, the front of the sled. And on the back of the sled, the measuring part, we'll have two boards that will be glued together. And they'll be cut to length later on. Then for the miter portion, we're going to have these two pieces. And that will come up later on in the project. So I'll just put those aside. In the meantime, I'm going to glue these together. And I'll glue these together. And I'll probably use the edge of the table saw right here to get a nice smooth surface and make sure the curves are going against each other. They should even out. I should end up with a nice straight board. Alright, so I'll be using Type Bomb 2 glue, and I'll also be using a old hotel credit card key for smoothing out the glue. And I also have this wax paper down to prevent the table saw extension from rusting. Alright, so there we have it. Let's wait an hour and see what happens. It's been an hour, the glue should have dried up, and we're going to take all the clamps off and see what we got here. Wood looks very good, very nice and straight from what I can tell. Very happy. So let's get rid of wax paper and we'll clean it all up. Alright, so I've got the board all cleaned up. This oak had been left outside for a week, and here in Georgia we've received a lot of rain over the last week or two. It's been very warm. I had mold growing all over the board. It's pretty horrible to have on beautiful oak. But anyway, it's all been cleaned up. It's all set. So I have three different types of runners that we can use here. I have one I used on my sled many years ago, and I've cleaned it up a bit. And I've already cut the other one down, but I want to use this because it fits very tightly into the groove. The other option is one I got from a local woodworking store. It's a plastic. It fits in the groove nicely, but there's a little bit more play in it than I would like to have. And then lastly, there's another one that's a little bit harder. All of this is like high density polyethylene or high density, it's very slick stuff. So anyway, I'm going to go with one of these for the other runner, and should be good. That way if it gets in a bind or whatever, this one will mainly track and the other one will sort of slide a little bit easier. And since this one's already been eaten up a bit in the past, I'll probably end up returning this one and going with this one. I'm going to pre-drill some holes into it, so I have countersunk screws, and I'll put some dimes in here to hold it up, put some glue on, then set the board on top, wait for that to glue up. Hopefully I can do that with super glue. screw those in, and then try the same for the other with double-sided tape for lack of knowing what else I can use. I just took the super glue, supported the runner on 4 dimes a piece, 4 or 5 dimes a piece, laid it in there, got a stop here so I know exactly where it needs to be, line it up with the front of the saw, put the glue on, dropped it in place. Forgot to hit the record button. I'm not going back, can't fix that. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and fasten this down, and then I'll go ahead and do this one with the double-sided tape and fasten it in place. So now the screw should drop right into it, and it does. It drops right through. So that's perfect. That's what I needed. So now I'm going to try to lift this out very, very carefully. And it appears to be attached, so now I'll drill and put those in place. Be very careful not to move it, and then I'll come along and add the other one with double-sided tape and do the same for that. Alright. So the first runner I put in, I used super glue. It's in, it slides really well. So the next one is this very, very slick plastic. That's not going to work as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use double-sided tape on it. And I don't know if you can see, but there's 4 sections of double-sided tape. And I'm going to take that, I'm going to set it down here on two rows of dimes, and right to the edge of the table. And I'm going to go along here and very quickly take off all of that, and it comes right to the very edge. Then I'm going to take this board and I'm going to get it to right where it's in the groove. I can feel it, and then I'm going to set it down like this, and it's right there to the edge. It's right here to the edge. All feels really good. Very happy with this. And now I'll pull it out, flip it over, and put the screws in it. There it is, just like that. So that added the screws into it, and so I'm going to flip it over and see if it fits. And let's see. There you go. Alright, so we have there's stacked cutter. We've made those in the board, and we've inserted the metal pieces. And anyway, I'm going to put that aside because I need some 6x1/2 inch screws or 6x3/8, and all I have is 6x3/4, and I don't really want to spend the time to cut all this down. So I'm going to put that aside for right now, and I'm going to go ahead and, while I got the dado cutter in there, I'm going to cut the boards for the miter cutter, which you'll see later on, but that's just what's going to happen right now. Alright, so here's what it's going to look like. Allows you to swing the board underneath it, but use it for a stop. So it should be a little nicer than what I've been using. Now, with that being cut off, you can see any stock that you're pushing up against there will be stopped. This actually touches everything just perfect, and even on the back side. So that worked out really well, so I'm quite pleased with that. Alright, so now I have the board put in here. It's all clamped together. I've pre-drilled a little bit of a hole. I'm going to put my screw in each end and one in the middle, and then I'll go back and fill the others in. So. So I'm going to run pilot drill for all these holes. You may notice that the pieces don't go to the end. That's so you can put the bolt in to pull it back. So I've cut that line in, and using a triangle that I verify with my tri-square I know is correct. I then take this other triangle, put it in just to create a lip, and ram that against it, and I adjust this fence so that I believe it's as close to 90 as I can get it right now. I've clamped this. I'll put one screw here, I'll put the other screw here, I'll check it, and then I'll keep doing a different screw here until I get it exactly right, and then I'll put all the other screws in. Alright, so we start with the top measurement, 0.972, and the bottom, 0.958. You subtract it, divide by 4 for the 4 angles that you created, and then divide that by the length of the offcut times the distance between the pivot points on your board, and that gives you 0.00566. So anyway, I have a set of feeler gauges. The closest thing I have to that is 0.006, and since it's positive, that means that this portion has to go that way, 0.006. So I'll set up a block there, I'll undo it, I'll put the feeler gauge in, bring it back to that block, clamp it down, and start screwing them in. And when I do that, it should end up working out just fine. Yep, 1/8 of an inch. And I'll take this and I will pull that there. Yeah, that will not fit in. So we're good on that. I gotta unscrew this, pull that back, put it in, push forward, and then screw this together. What I'm gonna do is take my cutoff and I'll drill 2 holes in it. I'm gonna position it right here. I'm going to tighten both of these down. This will lock these pieces horizontally from messing with each other. Okay, that screws out. Putting it right in here like this. Now we're going to take this clamp, we're going to clamp it right like that. You can still get the feeler gauge in. Let me tell you, that's a small correction. Now we're going to take this and we're going to drill another hole right next to it. Put that on it. Check to make sure. It's still good. Take that off. Put that to the side. I'm now taking the scrap piece of board and doing the 5-cut method to check the fence for square. In this case, I come up with an error of 0.001 over 17 inches, which is just really great. 0.001. I would say that's a resounding success. I'm now using a level as a straight edge while I take the time to fasten the rear fence in from underneath. Now I'm going to take this will be the board that goes here, and I need to trim it, make it 90 degrees. I'll do my best job at lining that up for the back side. And the next thing I do here is I got these, and these are 90 degrees from each other. Now I need to make sure these are 45. So now I've installed a blade that cuts aluminum, non-ferrous metals, and I'm going to use that to cut this up to get it nice. And so anyway, using safety goggles on this for sure, just because this is, don't need the metal in my eyes. So. And as that's completed, you can see how it fits in this. So that will end up replacing this. Alright, so now I am making sure this is in place. Now I want to run this down. If I want a piece that's exactly 12 inches or 11 exactly, I can put that into place. And here's the final product. Here's the 45-degree portion that just slides right off, and the bolts fit in the groove. As you can see, you can slide them forward. It's got the stop on the side for cutting small pieces, and I sprayed it in a satin finish. Thanks for watching.